Wow. Standing ovation this time. I mean, really.
Mhm.
Just thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Johanna,
you.
it's great to be back with you today.
Yes, fun to be back. I just realized our two opposing views were like light and dark.
Oh, we are. The
I'm
two
very light.
dualities of the ancient world.
You're very dark. Yes, a
Mm.
balance is happening
You look
here.
like, Madam Web right now
Yeah, thank you.
with your
I mean, that's
whole,
yes, with my yeah, I did
web
have this
background.
on, and then it looked like I was on a pirate on a pirate ship. So I took that off.
I like that.
Nice stripy jumper. Welcome everybody. Good evening, good morning. Everyone's like looking in from all over the world.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, and today we just wanted to have a chit chat.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see. Glad to see Luke's internet connection is working. I know. It's been bad. Johanna, can we hear you? Oh boy. We're never guys, when you want to start a show or something, you're never going to escape the technical difficulties. It's all right. We s- we can't hear you, unfortunately. So today we're going to do a little bit of chit chatting about the Osirion, and I just did a video on this recently. We're taking our Raiders group there here before too long in October, and I just did a video on the first explorers of the Osirion and the first excavators who discovered it and some of the things that they saw. And Johanna is in agreement with me that it is one of the coolest sites in Egypt, maybe the coolest site in Egypt. I mean, everybody goes to see the pyramids, everybody goes to see the Sphinx. They're amazing, but the Osirion's something different. It's down in Abydos. Nobody's really there. You get to kind of be there in the silence of ancient Egypt, and it's just a cool it's a very, very cool place. Johanna, let's see if you're back. Uh-oh. That's so weird. Well, maybe I think it's input is the word. Here, let's do some audience
Okay,
interact. Oh, there you are.
am I back?
You're back.
Okay, well, we'll do for that
Did you
one.
click anything, or is it just the YouTube gods?
Changed it from my Yeti mic to my like multiple podcast mic setup,
Ah,
but I don't know. It worked. Whatever. We're back. We're doing it. We're doing it.
yeah.
Um, Oh, ironic. Someone says you'll be chatting. She'll have to use sign language. We were literally just talking about sign
We
language.
were just I was trying to show Johanna my sign language, and she said it's a different language of sign language that she couldn't interpret.
Yeah, I only know British sign language.
Hey,
I'm
is
afraid.
sign language unified? Like, is it all unified around the world?
No, no, it's like languages. So
No
you
way.
have American Sign Language and I have British Sign Language. They're completely different. There's French Sign
What?
Language, Irish Sign Language. Yeah, it's like it's a language. So and guess it's not even the same in the same part of the country. So if I went up to the north of England, different signs than the south of England. There's like it's exactly like accents.
Really?
It like
Well,
it's organic and it grows and it changes depending on where you are.
it's shocking how diverse England is just in, like, how many accents and now languages you guys
So
actually have there.
many. Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
so many languages, so many accents in considering how small England is, you don't have to travel very far for everyone to sound completely different.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it
so today we're talking about the Osirian. I don't know if you could hear me a minute
yes.
ago while I was introing it. But
Ye
yeah, I wanted to make sure that I got with Johanna and our Raiders family before tonight. I'm going off on a vacation. I'm going to be gone for a while. So my wife and I we're doing like a little pseudo honeymoon. We've been married for like 3 years, and I still haven't taken her on one. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
cute.
So
I didn't know you were
yeah,
going
yeah.
tonight. Thank you for, taking the time.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking the time. You have much more responsibility and much busier than I am right now. So,
Well, yeah,
um,
baby takes over your whole life. But
yeah, yeah.
I'm always down to chat about the Assyrian. It is my favorite. It's my favorite ancient location in Egypt, just because there's nothing else like it. Like there's no comparative. Like you can kind of there are a lot of temples in Egypt that are that's a temple, that's a temple, that's a pyramid, that's a pyramid. But Assyrian is like, what is it, dude? What is it? Is it a temple? Is it some sort of functional ceremony space? Like, it's just so bizarre. I guess for people who don't know what the Assyrian is, do you want to do like a little intro?
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I don't know if anybody actually does know what the Osirion is, but essentially, it's it is it's an extension or like a subterranean part of Seti the First Temple in Abydos. It's right next to it, but it's a very weird site because it's disconnected except for like a descending hallway or a descending tunnel that goes underground that connects the exterior of the temple. You've gone down this tunnel, haven't you? You've walked all the way down it. Is that
Mhm.
tunnel actually connected to the temple, or is it just like outside?
Are you talking about the hall, with the vaulted ceiling at the back,
Mhm.
or
So
the
isn't there's like a there's supposed to be a long descending tunnel that goes down and around the Osirion and then you can walk into the
Uh,
Osirion from the Great Hall. But I know that
yes,
there's also a
I've
wooden staircase you can go down too.
yeah, so I've been through both entrances. So the wooden staircase that is like modern and it's just literally the
Mhm.
straight way down. And we also last time I went, we had a special access to go down the long tunnel. The long tunnel is on the other side and it starts like out in the desert. And then you slowly on an incline and then you
Right.
have to take a sharp turn and then you come in and then you hit the Osirion as you are supposed to like approach it from perfect view, like front on ways, but that's the opposite direction to the set. It's nothing to do with the SETI. I think
Yeah.
what I mean there's like the main sort of courtyard of the Osirion, and then at the back there is an antechamber that's massive that looks very very similar to like the vaulted sort of passageway that they discovered in the pyramid like last year before.
Right. Yep.
That kind of weird vaulted, ceiling entrance space that sort of apparently goes nowhere, like a chamber. That they've got like a very, very, very similar design, at the back of the Osirion, like an antechamber, and I think that wall potentially backs onto the Sessi. But when we say like back to back, one is a couple of stories below the other temple. So you've got a temple on current modern day ground level, which is the Seti one, and then you've got the Assyrian, which is down, I don't know, 25 feet lower. It's on a completely different
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, I think that that's right. I'm looking at this document that I wrote. I want to say 25 feet is exactly right
Wow, I just
down to the
guesstimated
floor.
that from my eyeballs.
Let's see if Explorer. Yeah. So I thought that that's and, I didn't even think about that when I did because this video I just did on the Osirion, it was really just about, the word for word accounts of the people who first excavated the Osirion
Mhm.
and explored its depths and what they thought about it, right? I don't know if I put too much of what I thought about it. That's not super the point of my little explorer series. But
Mhm.
yeah, this is something I really wanted to chat with you about because you had actually been there. So I was thinking this will be fun. I want to read through to you a few, like a handful of these quotes of the first explorers that were there, and we'll go through them. And from your experience of being there, now that this is 100 years later and it's fully excavated, I'm interested in hearing your reaction to these. So
Okay.
the first time that we hear about the Osirion is in 25 BC. A Greek traveler named Strabo visits Abydos, and he writes, "Above this city lies Abydos, where is the Memnonium, a royal building which is a remarkable structure built of solid stone and of the same workmanship as that which I ascribe to the labyrinth. Now, the labyrinth, because he's Greek, I think he's talking about the labyrinth of the Minotaur. That's a whole different. Oh, or is he talking about Hawara? I didn't.
You could be Hawara because the labyrinth that was written about in Greek
Oh,
time.
that is interesting. And this is 25 BC. So, because it's Herodotus that is constantly, that's always cited as talking about the Hawara labyrinth, right?
Mhm,
But
mhm.
Is Strabo talking about this? I had just done something on the Minoans and the Minotaur, and so when I was going through this, I automatically assumed that he was talking about the labyrinth on Crete, but he
Mhm.
might be talking about the labyrinth of Hawara here. Anyways, of the same workmanship as that which I ascribe to the labyrinth, though not multiplex, and also a fountain which lies at a great depth, so that one descends to it down vaulted galleries made of monoliths of surprising size and workmanship. So that is, as far as we know, the very first time that somebody actually wrote about the Osirion.
Okay, they Dear Diary it. Dear Diary. I saw the Assyrian. In 25 BC.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, okay, and it's okay. I mean, that's interesting that if they are referring to the labyrinth being the Egyptian labyrinth of Hawara, and that is supposedly like uber old, that's an interesting cross-reference of saying that the stone was the same. So I think I want to just like start out and just establish something about the stones of
Sure.
the Assyrian because you've got limestone and you've got um granite what's they called pillars. But the majority of the floor base that is built out of limestone. No, sandstone. Sorry.
Sandstone, that's
And
right.
sandstone. And then that is why a lot of people they vote that the Assyrian was a later Egyptian build because later Egyptians built in a lot of sandstone. And so they were like, that's clearly later. However, when I like looked at Egyptian stone that was used, yes, Egyptians mainly used sandstone like Middle Kingdom onwards, apart from super early. So like first, second dynasty, and then much, much later, according to
Mm.
the internet. So it's either going to be in one, you can't completely rule it out and you can't completely say that it's a later structure. So it was either built at the very beginning or the end of what was before, or it is a Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom, sorry, New Kingdom build. So that was interesting. So
But
it's not like sandstone was used intermittently all the time. It was either all
yeah.
the way at the beginning or at the end.
Yeah, and the strange thing about if it's New Kingdom, it's so odd for New Kingdom. It's not, you know, it's not normal for New Kingdom. I mean, usually they have that kind of eye temple structure, right? You have this big open atrium, and then you have this little, I guess it's like a thinner hallway, and you have these back open atriums, even though it's all massive. But this
Mhm.
is a temple that L's off. It, like, turns out of the way, and I've heard some Egyptologists describe it as though, when Seti's going through and laying the foundation of the temple, they run into this buried structure, and then they just decide to turn the temple to the left. And that could be because they are building upon the ruins of an early dynasty temple that was already there or something like that, and that's why they built on that specific spot. But it's so odd that they turn the temple almost like to be out of the way of the Osirion, and then they go in and excavate it and explore it themselves. And what's really interesting is, as we'll get to it in a moment, these first excavators, like Flinders Petrie and Edward Neville and Margaret Murray in the early 1900s, beginning in 1902, they all say that they think that it's contemporaneous with the Valley Temple, which you and I have talked about before. The construction is I mean, it's the two most similar pieces of construction throughout all of Egypt. I mean, they're like twin complexes. You want to share screen?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that just because the Osirian is so visually odd, it would be help if we just did a little imagery
Yeah,
for people because we're talking about a temple being built on the wonk and going left. Can you see? Can you see the
I
whole
can.
screen?
Looks great. Hmm.
Okay, so there's kind of the temple layouts you can see here. So this is the temple of Seti, the temple that's above on ground level, and you can see it sets out like a normal kind of straight temple, and then suddenly just goes left like a L shape, upside down L. Um, and yeah, that is not like the normal pattern layout of a temple. Apparently there is like a esoteric meaning about why that could be like that.
Right.
Um, but then this is what it's like in relation to the Osirian temple below. And this, so you see this long line that's coming out from it's
That's where
coming out
that
from,
tunnel comes from.
yeah, and it's the other end. And according to these layouts that I'm looking here, the Osirian and the Seti temple actually they don't meet.
Mm,
They are there does seem to be a gap betwixt the two. Um and so the Okay, and this is the plan for just exactly the Assyrian temple. It looks exactly like some sort of computer chip battery from above, as a lot of these temple complexes do. It's very binary, isn't it? It's like, but you enter. It's kind of like a square, and you enter down. This is a really good way to show it.
yep.
That's a wooden staircase. That wouldn't be how you enter it. You'd enter it from the bottom. Um, it's there's like a kind of courtyard and it's full of water and it has all these big granite pillars that are like massive megalithic, again very similar to the style of the valley temple up in Giza. It actually it mirrors loads of the symmetry and the aesthetic style of the like the pyramid builders, the super early first to fifth dynasty stuff.
Yep.
um and
Yeah,
and
I think it looks so, 4th dynasty construction. It just has that aura about it.
vibe. And
Yeah.
there's a back tunnel I'm trying to see. So here it is. It looks like it really looks like Minecraft, to be fair. Um but when you go into the back, trying to find like an image of the back. This is a good,
It's
like,
very
okay,
difficult to find those.
this this is a good layout. So you've got this, it would have all been obviously covered over with a roof. So it would have been quite dark. And then you've got this like moat full of water and then the central island. And then when you travel through the back, then there's this like antechamber at the back, which has got this vaulted ceiling, which is the exact same
Mm,
it's the exact same vault dimensions as in the middle pyramid in Giza. So
wow.
the Khafre pyramid. So there's like design features and like architecture maths that are just lining up so much with early dynastic rather than later. And like I said, the sandstone doesn't necessarily prove that it was later because it was also used first and second dynasty. So it could be there. Now this image here. This is like a little computer generated image. Oh yeah, look, so here you can see exactly where the bottom end of the Seti temple above finishes. They are two completely different buildings. They
Right.
were not
Yeah.
built, side by side. And this like vaulted little antechamber there, and then this is the thing. So when you're standing on the middle island, when you're standing, I didn't know this the first couple of times I went to the Osirian. It was only afterwards in my research that that island is 5 stories deep. You're standing on the top of a 5-story building, and those blocks go down into the earth for 5 stories. And they've like scanned it, and they think that it is hollow inside. So
Wow.
potentially some sort of chamber in there. That these massive granite blocks are
I wonder
like
if
pillars.
they think like those blocks that are there and then the floor that it sits on,
Mhm.
are there more columns beneath that? And it's just actual stories of column, if that makes sense. It's just
Oh yeah, like,
duplicated 4 or
I
5
mean,
times.
it could be this scenario 4 or 5 times. We don't know. So
Wow.
when the water that's coming up there, they've never ever. This is a good one. This is an old one. This is when the water level was lower. There
Yeah,
are steps
I love that photo.
that are like leading up to that main platform. But the moat that you go around, that is 15 meters deep, not feet, 15 meters of water.
Wow. How
Now,
many feet is that for us Americans who don't know
oh,
anything about meters? Let's
15
see.
meters in
That's
feet.
about 30, is was it like 35
About
feet? Am I
50
crazy?
feet, 50 feet.
Holy crap.
Yeah. 49.2 point something something. So
Wow. So
50
that would make this thing like 75 feet deep because it's already
from
25 feet.
oh yeah, from current ground level, right? Um
Jesus.
because the aquifer that this thing is built on. Okay, so this is I'm just gonna stop sharing so I can like
Mhm.
focus.
You're good.
But the water that is in this like moat, 15 feet deep down either side, um the walls of the Osirian, those like sandstone walls, go down 5 stories, 50 feet, 15 meters, sorry. The water just keeps being replenished because it is coming from an ancient aquifer that is 900 meters deep. That's meters. I don't even know what would that be in
Lord.
feet? A bajillion feet
A lot,
deep.
a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm curious now, I just gotta look this up. 900
so
meter feet. I'm sorry,
900
I feel
meters.
disabled having to transfer this all to feet. That's 2,952 feet.
That's a lot of feet, right?
Good
And it's
night.
so there's a reason why they tried in the 20s. They tried to like when they first were like really excavating it. They tried to suck out all the water, couldn't do it. They
Right.
got like bigger pumps, better pumps. They tried with modern pumps that can do something like 500 gallons a second or something. And it's just like it's not even doing it because this ancient deep aquifer just keeps refilling it. So my question is number 1, if we can't get the water out the way to see what's down there, how did they do it? How did they and I looked at, like, the process of how you build bridges and how you, like, get water out the way, um, but, like, this is very interesting, and also
Yeah, it's
eng
mind-blowing.
engineering feat problem number 1 is how do you get rid of the water to build the thing in the first place? Engineering feat number 2, this thing is, like, plugged into the ground like a plug in the earth, which
Mhm.
means that it like literally moves ever so slightly, like fractionally with the ground rather than being on top of it. So I think there was a reason why it was buried deep down. So they've plugged this temple into the ground and it's really earthquake proof. There's a reason why loads of it's stood the test of time for thousands of years.
Wow.
Obviously the roofs come in and stuff and a lot of that's not the same as like the pillars, and the actual structure of the central island has stayed intact, the walls intact, because it's like it's designed to do that and to like plug into the ground rather than be on the ground. I was like, genius. So that's something. And then the other reason why the Osirian isn't crazy is that the water that's coming up from this aquifer, they're starting to do it loads of tests on it because they wanted to know where the water's coming from because it is 100% not Nile water. It is coming and it's not the same water that's in other local wells around the area. It is a separate water source, ancient water source, and it's also got different properties. I can't remember off the top of my head, but if you want to check it out, it's the AcidaProject.org has all of the latest like Assyrian research,
Mhm.
and there's like lots of papers and charts there because the water there compared to around so like the it's going to be a bit gross, but like the fecal matter, the poop that's in the water locally is so much higher, and the Assyrian water is like so much cleaner on like a bacterial
Clean.
level. Yeah.
Mm.
It has other properties like it's got different sort of like electro something properties in that water than compared to the other one, so that there's very specific they chose this spring for a very specific reason. And
Amazing,
although
isn't it?
I know the water looks disgusting and green, that's because it's not flowing as it should be because over thousands of years of sediment has built up in the sides, so there's like thick layers of this sediment the water's having to filter through. It's making it
Yeah.
quite, but even though it's still drinkable, but you have to
Wow.
obviously filter it like a little bit more to make it completely drinkable. But like you will not die if you drink Osirian water. There's that guy, I think he's called Jim Westerman. He's the guy that was heading a lot of the 80s and 90s research into it and the experiments. And he said that once they tested it and found that it was drinkable, he was necking gallons of it as an experiment to see what would happen. And he said he like felt fine. And he said the only thing that he could markedly notice was that when he went for his next driver's like eyesight test, he could see 20/20 when before he couldn't.
That's
And so
interesting.
he was like, I don't know if that's correlated with the gallons and gallons and gallons of Osirian water, but he was like, my eyesight's amazing. So
I heard somebody say recently something about one of the overlooked potentials of the uses of these places is just for healing. Like, you
mhm,
know, these places were created to, through one means or another, with this cosmic, some, ethereal knowledge that these ancient people had, they created this place where you could go in and you could be healed, right? So whether that's maybe that's sourcing pure water, because that's interesting. They think that during the time of Akhenaten, how all those statues have those big bellies, just the
mhm,
big and bloated bellies. Well, one of the things that they think Egyptians had was like a parasite in their water that caused, in the actual Nile, in the little swampy, marshy lands where you're filling up your cups to drink water, or your pots for drinking water. They had little
mhm.
parasites and worms in them that would give you. Somebody might think of the name and drop it in, but yeah, it was a disorder that you could get, and so by accessing well water, you're getting probably purified, maybe even, through the earth, clean water. So that is quite interesting. Not that
Oh,
we really have any idea what the Osirion was used for, but I just thought that was interesting.
another thing that I'm remembering from all my Osirian research, it's coming back. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's coming back to me in pieces. So what's cool is so you've got the Seti temple above, good 25 foot above on current ground level. Completely different style of architecture, 100% like the later dynasties. It's got the
Yeah, blocks
head
that are like this big.
little blocks to build the whole thing. All of the pillars are like gorgeously sort of round, um, and you've got head to toe of the temple is covered in glyphs and pictures and paintings, and it's colorful, and it's like
Mhm.
the complete opposite design to the one that's outside and underground.
That's right.
Um, and there is no, I don't think there is no original glyph or anything in the Osirian to how it was at the beginning. My personal thing is that the later Egyptians, like Seti's builders, found this, uncovered this earlier Egyptian site, and they were in the middle of renovating it because there are some um, walls that are unfinished in that really annoying unfinished thing that ancients tended to do. So that you can see some of the walls are like half of the wall at the top is like bubbled, a bit like
They're
Peruvian
still
walls.
they're still like pillowed out, and they haven't been
Yeah, they're all
flattened away.
marshmallowy. And then you've got the marshmallow walls, and then you've got flat ones, and you can see literally where they were like halfway through flattening a marshmallow. And someone literally was like, "Tools down, union says no." There we go. Um, and so that's weird. And then there's one wall at the back that they've started to do relief carvings that match the ones in the Seti temple, but it was only on one wall at the back, not everywhere. It's like it's very much like a kind of beginning patch job. I don't feel like they are the original design. The design of the whole thing was not designed
Yeah.
to have reliefs on. Um, so that was interesting. No, but sorry, the thing that was really cool is that they've done some scans underneath the Seti temple, and there is an ancient like what used to be like a canal, so that would be how they would have made the Assyrian originally, how they would have got those massive giant blocks
Mm.
from the Nile down this canal, and it would have gone literally like to the site, and then they could have like built it. So
The
there's
sheer
some,
logistics are insane.
yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. And this is the thing. Okay, if Seti the First can do this and he can pull this off, he's wealthy enough to do this. Is the reality just that everybody after the fourth dynasty or whenever is not wealthy enough to be able to pull these type of things off, but the knowledge is there for another 1,200 years or so, and then Seti comes in, but Seti doesn't build something like this for his own actual temple that's above ground, and he doesn't
Hmm.
do anything like this for his tomb. We don't I mean, he just builds this underground chamber, and then nobody immediately preceding him or immediately following him does the same thing at all at any point. It's just like it just really sits out as a huge oddball in the New Kingdom and doesn't really fit the New Kingdom. You know, the construction is just so it's so Old Kingdom. There's so many questions about,
Yeah.
I get the idea of the floor and, apparently there's not a precedent for that, but like you said, you looked into it and there are sandstone architecture, sandstone floors being used in the first and second dynasties. And you know what's
Yeah.
interesting is whenever I am having conversations with some Egyptians that were there, like the first time I was in Egypt, I was talking to a guy I knew. His name is Ahmed, and I was asking him about what he thought the oldest place in all of Egypt was. Is it the pyramids? Is it the Sphinx? Is the Sphinx older than the pyramids? And he told me that he thought that it was the Osirion. And I said, really? And he thought that the Osirion went all the way back to Scorpion or Narmer or Menes. That very first Pharaoh dynasty zero or dynasty. The
Wow.
very
Yeah. Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
He was telling me that he thinks it's the oldest place in all of Egypt. I'm gonna read to you this here. I think, yeah, okay, here we go. So this is Edouard Neville. He's a Swiss archaeologist that arrived in Abydos under the Egypt Exploration Fund and to like complete the work of Petrie and Murray. So this is 1913. And this is what he writes about it after he's, completed his work there. He says, there is no longer any doubt then that we have discovered what Strabo calls the well or the fountain of Abydos. He spoke of it as being near the temple at a great depth. And that's interesting. He says near the temple, not a part of it, but near it. And remarkable for some corridors whose ceilings were formed of enormous monolithic blocks. That is exactly what we have found. We have as yet no certain indications of the date of the construction, but the style, the size of the materials, the complete absence of all ornamentation all indicate very great antiquity. Up to present time, what is called the Temple of the Sphinx at Giza has always been considered one of the most ancient edifices of Egypt. Now, I'm not sure if he's talking about the Valley Temple or if he's actually talking about the Sphinx Temple, which are, I mean, they're right next to each other. Um,
Yeah. But they're
it is,
both pretty old.
yeah, it is contemporaneous with the Pyramid of Khephren, which to us would be Khafra. The reservoir of Abydos, which is the Osirion, being of similar composition but of much, much larger materials, is of still more archaic character, and I would not be surprised if this were the most ancient structure in Egypt. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I would put, if I was betting, Abydos is one of the oldest places in Egypt. It's where there's the first dynasty tombs. Like
That's right.
this is where people were before Egypt was even like technically called Egypt. So
That's right.
I if I was gonna where I'm like I reassess my views all the time. Everybody should, but where I currently would place my bets is that this is a very, very, very ancient place that goes back further than we have documentation of, and
Hmm.
that this site is old, minimum, early what first to fifth dynasty, minimum, could be older. Um, I think that there was an ancient the Assyrian was then, and I think later when Seti came to build his temple, they're doing temple building by alignments because it's all aligned. So Seti's temple and the Assyrian are, I think, are aligned to like something, and so they're all working in alignments, and then they're digging down the foundations of the temple, and oh whoa, they hit the roof of an old one, and then they go, well, let's finish the temple that way and let's keep this. And then I think they were like, let's use this, and it was a very much a used and restored, you know, place for them. And so I think it probably had like a second wind of life by the SETI times.
Hmm.
But I do think that the people who built it are part of those. that early crew. We're going to call them the early crew, and and they did Valley Temple,
You
Sphinx
know what's
Temple,
interesting that I just
pyramids.
thought about this is it's entirely possible that when people say well, people call the Osirion, it is a cenotaph or a symbolic burial for Osiris, right? Well,
Hmm.
it's not a crazy idea that Seti is building his temple, and maybe there's some really old structure that's there from the old kingdom, the early dynasties, and it's crumbled and fallen apart. And he's like, because that they would, like Karnak, Karnak is built over so many different temples. Well, it's possible that there was one there and
Mm.
it had fallen into ruins. They demolish it. They use the floor plan and they start building again. But now the way that structures are built is totally different. And now structures are longer in the new kingdom. So he starts expanding his out. Boom, he hits this old structure. And when they're excavating it, he probably has absolutely no context of what this thing is. It's just this structure that's buried in the sand out here. And when they pull it up, who knows? They probably do think, oh, well, maybe we discovered the tomb of Osiris itself. You know what I mean? They had to come up with
Hmm.
some explanation of what it is. And it's through that lens by which, we as in modern archaeology ascribe that site meaning. But it's possible that was already there. It was buried. SETI finds it, ascribes it a new meaning, but we've completely lost the original purpose of it.
I would, purpose wise, function wise, I would say that it can be twofold. It could be like a physical function, like you said, like a healing, but then it could also be like a symbolic, like the first kind of baptism idea, because you've got the descending
Mhm.
stairs and you have
Yeah,
to like kind of descend, travel across and ascend. That's all very symbolic. I get it. We still do it today. Everyone gets dunked in a baptism.
that's right.
But because there are such specific properties of this water, and another thing that Jim Westerson guy found when they were doing all the tests on the water, what it's made of, compare it to all the stuff, they found that it actually defied one of the rules of physics. There was I can't remember the details, but it is something like when they were testing the heat the heat properties. Like there's a rule in thermodynamics which says that like you can't uh heat can't travel through something
Mm.
and get hotter or stay cooler or something, one of those way round. The water at the Syrian does this. It either cools through heat and then reheats, or it heats and then cools and then reheats. It basically defies some thermodynamic rule. So there is something about this water that's a bit different to things that we've found, potentially rule breaking to thermodynamics, potentially
Okay,
healing. You've got to
I'm
also
I'm
take
gonna
into
read it.
account all of the. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I'm gonna read a
Have you found
couple
it?
things here. Well, maybe I did. So
Okay.
it says, I'm just talking to Gemini here, like asking it to pull sources and give an answer. But it says the water within the Osirion at Abydos is one of the structure's most enigmatic features, primarily because the building was intentionally designed to intersect the water table, a stark contrast to most Egyptian temples built on high ground to avoid moisture. Scientific testing, including isotope analysis, suggests the water is not a simple mirror of the nearby Nile. The water appears to be a unique blend of modern Nile water, ancient paleo water from deep within confined aquifers beneath the earth, and regional underground water. Research indicates that its chemical signature and mineral content differ significantly from the ambient groundwater found in the local wells just a few hundred meters away, which would be used by people today and ancient people. Okay, so keep going a little bit. Uh, Early 20th century's excavators attempted to pump the water out to reveal the floor, only to find that it replenished as fast as it was removed. It remains at a roughly consistent level regardless of seasonal fluctuations of the Nile, which obviously means it's mostly disconnected from the Nile. Uh, there is evidence that the water is forced upward from below the structure under artisan pressure. It emerges through
Mhm.
specific, purposely designed channels in the central island surrounding the moat. And here's the last part. It says regarding the heat, The water in the Osirion presents a fascinating thermal and geological profile that ties directly to how it behaves differently from the Nile. Because the Osirion is located roughly 13 meters below the desert surface, the water is shielded from the extreme surface temperatures of Egypt, which can swing from near freezing uh, to 45 degrees Celsius to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. The water table stays at a relatively stable, cool temperature year round. This is typical of deep groundwater, which reflects the average annual surface temperature. The massive granite and sandstone blocks act as a thermal battery, absorbing any heat that filters down and maintaining a cool microclimate within the sunken chamber of the Osirion. That is crazy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow. It's fascinating. Even though we have our own ways to explain that, it's like the Egyptians knew what they were doing. They knew that by building this, they were going to create this cool, insulated, cold chamber, right? I mean, you don't think about that. Think about these blazing hot days in Egypt, and you're in the mystery schools or whatever it is that's going down there in this early primordial time, in ancient history, and you go down this tunnel system, you go into this dark, like damp, cool chamber with these waters, and there's probably, you know, you probably have torches, and the light, like that orange light, is flickering off the water, and you get down in it, and then the water's cold. Because in Egypt, the water's not really cold. It's kind of like it's like body temperature, where you step
Mm.
into the water, and it's like not hot or cold. It's just lukewarm water.
Lukewarm.
That's right. But then you step into the Osirion, and it's cold. So that's
Yeah.
kind of you don't think about that as being a luxury or some kind of, how do they interpret cold water? That's fascinating to me. What do they think of
It's
that?
traveling up 900 meters from the Earth. It's gonna be
Yeah.
pretty chilled. I just saw
Yeah.
in the comments that was coming back saying that the original Seti temple was designed, they were gonna build it over the older one in a straight line, but when they went to build it over, it it structurally wasn't gonna work because the roof was collapsing. So they had to just make the L shape,
Oh,
which also makes sense. So that they had designed to do it and to encompass it. Um,
yeah. You wanna
there
you
we
wanna
go.
take this one?
Yeah, so the Osirian was underground. Seti built his temple on top of the Osirian, but it couldn't handle the weight and the roof collapsed. After that, Seti modified his temple to that. That's another really good interpretation or theory. I like that one. I like
Yeah, I
that one
do
too.
like that too. I do like that. Um,
The local thing is that people often go to the Osirian to like bathe in the Osirian, either because if they want to get pregnant, they want to get good fertility luck, or for
that's right.
health, they go. People are ill, they go. And I was like, it's interesting that that's kind of the law that's been there. That's come from somewhere. Um, so that water's special. People have known for thousands of years, even if they've forgotten why that water's special. And the idea of it having healing. Maybe there is some sort of process of this special cold water that's coming up, and maybe it's like minerally got some sort of different deposits that are like really good for skin. Maybe anti-aging. Maybe when we go, I'll just give myself a little facial, and we'll see if I come out younger.
Try it. I say we should give it a try. As time's gone on, I'm more sympathetic to some of the it's so overblown. I feel like it's never properly explained. But when people say stuff like fertility rituals, I feel like, you kind of say that and then you brush by it. But actually, the stakes were high in ancient times for having kids. It
Mm,
was a low percentage chance, or I should say, a relatively high percentage chance that a woman was not going to survive all of her labors. Constantly soldiers, especially in the Greek times, they would say, I'd rather fight on the front lines 3 times than have a child once, because it was more likely that a woman would die in childbirth. And I was talking with my wife the other day, and I was like, we were going through all the, people who have had like complications, and you're like, well, that could be
yeah.
somebody, that could be somebody, that could be
Yep.
somebody. And you start to
Yep.
realize all these girls, now women you grew up with, might not be around anymore. And
Yeah.
not only that, but a large percentage of the children that are born won't survive. So healing and striving for healing is a huge thing in ancient times, and I wonder, if there are properties by which some of these ancient sites had for healing purposes that
Mhm.
we're disconnected from today. We don't understand it at all.
Yeah, and there's the same kind of like healing mecca at Göbekli Tepe, where people have gone for thousands of years as a fertility place and a healing place. And it's interesting that that also had water. Wherever there's
Mhm.
water, like because the basins of Göbekli Tepe, they made the like kind of concrete that was watertight so that they could it could be filled with water. Um, so that's interesting. I am also
Cool.
part of the club of I probably wouldn't have done so well in the past with having a
Mm.
baby. I had to have a C-section, and my baby was measuring super small. So she probably wouldn't have survived without like modern medical intervention. So it is you're like, oh my, and I've got so many friends who have the very same or similar story. And I'm like, whoa, we would not have done well in the ancient times.
Yeah. Mars Monkey Max, the ancients put a lot more importance and foresight into childbirth than we do. You can tell from Greek history. Yeah, that's true. I know you're just pointing out the Greeks, but it's ancient people everywhere too, everywhere.
Mhm.
But the problem is that I feel like, um, from the quote unquote mainstream, it's not really like properly explained. They just kinda say fertility rituals and expect people to know what that is, and then you hear that, and me, I'm guilty of that too. For years, I would hear fertility rituals, and I go, "What?" But, as you really start looking into it, it becomes more obvious, like, okay, well, they probably are doing a lot to try to ensure that the women are gonna be able to survive and that the children can survive themselves, you know? You want me to share screen?
Yeah, this is from some of the historical picture. This is
I
probably one
love
of the
these.
best the lowest level that the water ever was. This is down the side of the canal that's normally full of like green water, just to
Whoa.
show how
That's 3
deep
or 4
it is
feet, isn't it?
going. Yeah, but so that's
Yeah.
the beginning of the 15-meter drop. And we can see there's like a hell of a lot of nubs as well. So not only was originally the stone all like marshmallowy and Peruvian, um, loads of nubs, random nubs that make no logical sense. There's nubs all over the gaff there. So yeah,
Does
that's
it
cool.
look like they smoothed out some of those stones that are submerged? Like, if you look to the right, isn't that interesting how that
Oh yeah,
mid-level
yeah.
stone beneath the nubs, that one's pillowy, but the other one beneath that looks
Like
like it's shaved
smooth.
down.
Don't know, but, like,
Wow, there's a lot to
I wanna
dissect
know
there.
yeah, I wanna know what there is so much space that it still goes down, and we wanna know.
Johanna, what's the minimum amount of money you'd take to just jump in the water?
Oh, do you know what? I was gonna bring, like, big, like, gumboot things and just get in, but then, the thing is that it's got such thick sediment. If it was just
Mm,
water, I'd go right in. I'd be like, "Hold my breath, let me go." But
yeah.
the sediment and there's also I think there's, like, over time, if people just, like, chuck stuff in, there's probably a lot of, like, dangerous stuff in there. They did find when they were, like, dredging stuff up, they found a statue of Osiris.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
I'm not sure how big a statue, maybe it might have been a little one. But they found a statue of Osiris and they found a hook, a bit like like the hook and
That's right.
thing that the pharaohs have. So there we go. And then there's I think there's another image I've got.
I love the old photos of archaeological sites. They're so, during those early excavations, they took so many very evocative photos. Alright, I'm gonna jump to this one.
And this is
Ooh, I
from
like that.
James or Jim Westerman. This is one of the so in the central island you've got these like square. I think this is the square in the island. Yeah, and then they also have steps that descend into them. So there's like little pools. Um
Where
and
exactly in the
there's
Osirion is this?
so I'm thinking I think that this is one of the drained. Um, oh no, maybe it's the steps on the other side. It's where there are steps. Hmm.
Gosh, that's crazy.
But you can see at the very bottom, there's water pouring out from like these that like they've built it with these like little tunnels.
I just wanna acknowledge they were doing some serious work with that shovel. Look at that shovel. It's
Yes,
completely
bent.
bent.
That's bent. But the so in the main block of this island, this like five-story building, basically, there is like a tunnel work of funnel holes that is funneling all this water up and channeling it and keeping it flowing round to this day. After
Mm,
thousands of years, it's still working, and um and it's like a tap. But it's like this is so far back in history, and they were doing like water management. Like this stuff wasn't going to show up later until I guess like the aquifer systems of Rome. I guess I'm not really sure who else
yeah, I
had
mean,
the.
there's not much. I mean, the Minoans had some stuff, like, on Crete, but, the Minoans, the Romans might be it. There may be some other smaller examples, but as far as doing, hydraulic engineering work like this and playing with water, just freaking I mean, but this is on a level that I can't even begin to comprehend. I love this is my
Hmm.
favorite photo of the Osirion.
Oh, maybe that is actually. I thought
That's
it
what
could have
that
been
is.
one of
It's
the.
that
I thought it could have
yeah.
been one in the middle, but that's a yeah. We've solved the mystery. There we go.
So the
Um.
water was much higher then. Now, usually when
Yeah.
you're there though, the water's even higher, right? It comes all the way up almost to, uh almost to where it
Yeah.
it it submerges the floor, right?
So the highest I've seen the water in photos is actually covering the whole of the island, middle island. The
Mhm.
lowest I've seen it, I've seen it there at kind of different levels. The lowest is where you can see a bit of the steps. And then yeah, it kind of fluctuates between probably about this much depending on
Yeah.
or season.
Gosh, what are we gonna
Um,
do what are we gonna do if the whole thing is, like, submerged by a few inches? I'm just gonna tell everybody, we're just gonna go in. We're gonna do it.
bring boots. We're gonna roll up Poshers. I mean, it can't
That's
do,
right, that's right.
Um, but yeah, the technical feat and question mark, like nobody knows. Again, it's like people go, "Oh, they don't know how they built the pyramids." I'm like, "How did they build the Assyrian, dude? It's a five-story building that
Mhm.
weighs into the ground on water that you cannot pump with modern pumps away. Like how would you even build the foundations of this thing? Because they've got this thing is on foundations, I'm assuming, and the walls at the sides. You've got this massive chamber in the middle, which has got this complex pipe work of for the waterways, and then you've got the outside walls, which also descend down 15 meters. Insane. This back wall that we're seeing, so that door is what goes through to the that like antechamber, the vaulted antechamber, and that back wall is the only wall that has like Egyptian imagery, carvings on it. But again, it's unfinished, it's incomplete, which is why I think we're looking at like a restoration, New Kingdom restoration project that's been halted. Um,
Yeah, I think
and
so. I mean, you look at this, this is like it looks like the sibling of the Valley Temple and the Sphinx
yeah,
Temple in Egypt. It's the exact same sort of layout, the same sort of elegant design. Hey,
let me just
you
grab a Valley Temple picture for a side
you
by
know what
side
else?
because
You know
it's
what I just thought about, Johanna?
uh-huh.
Um, I don't think that I could be well, so when Herodotus arrives in Egypt, he, I believe,
Look at
does
this.
not write about oh, yeah, okay, so here's the Valley Temple. So I'm talking about the Valley Temple here. When Herodotus
Okay.
arrives in Egypt, I believe that he does not talk about the Valley Temple, and it's thought that this temple had been buried by the sands of Giza at this point, because a few hundred years later, when the Romans come, I believe that the Romans build a viewing platform up on top of, like, they build this platform that sits up on top of the dirt that's covered up the Valley Temple. So
Mm.
I'm not even positive that in Seti the First's lifetime that this Valley Temple was even visible or visitable, that you could even go into it, right? So
Oh, to copy the homework.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's another very good point. If that was out of commission and hidden in the sand, how would you copy the
Mhm,
homework? Because it is the Valley Temple's impressive, but it's the blocks. I mean, these blocks are impressive, but then the Assyrian ones are like double the size.
at least double, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
at least
like
double.
way
Similar
way
height,
thicker,
but way thicker, yeah. Yeah,
way
exactly.
thicker. And and then obviously both the Valley and the Assyrian would have had it overhead. I don't get why they would have built, if it wasn't, when I say modern, I mean if it was a SETI New Kingdom
Mhm,
time, um, I don't get why they would have built it so low. If you're doing a separate temple out the back that's not connected in any way to the other one,
mhm,
because it clearly isn't connected by any design way, why would you build it so low? Because if the ground level that you're starting the build with is up there, you'd have to clear, like I said, you'd have to clear 15, no, feet, to just to get to before you start even going down your 5 stories. It's a weird one. Like, why not start the 5
yeah,
stories from the top? Why go down? Um, that's
yeah,
also, again, doesn't make sense, like, logically. It makes way more sense when you go backwards in time. Everything was lower, so um, it makes more sense that it's a lot older and that, yeah, that they found it because they couldn't lift it up, did they? So, um, it's just phenomenal. And then what
yeah.
you also can't see here, and you can't see on the other one, is that you've got the main island, and then on the other side there are all these just little antechambers. I think there's eight, eight on each side, maybe seven on each side.
7, maybe, I think it might be 7 on each side, something like that.
Probably 7 because it's a bit more esoteric, but, um, there are these, like, 7 little rooms that's got, like, kinda no purpose, but they're just there. Um, Maybe that was the changing room for the swimming baths, I don't know. But, like, girls to the left, boys to the right. Um, yeah, it's just such, and we're looking at pictures of it. Wait till you get there, wait till you walk down and everything, it's a bit like the pyramids. You can see them from afar and then you get up close and you go, the perspective just blows your brain.
Yeah.
This is so much bigger in person. So just, I'm quite a tall girl, and I don't even come up anywhere near. I'm like 5'9", probably closer to 6 foot when I was wearing my platforms, boots, and I was nowhere near even half of these pillars. I
Wow.
looked like a tiny little ant somewhere, when I took a picture of me next to these pillars. It was phenomenal. So, you're just there going, "How the hell did they do this without drowning? Without it all?" Like, it's just precise. It's gorgeous. I think I always find it more impressive, like the minimalist,
Oh,
heavy stuff.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Then I find the other stuff beautiful in another way, but I don't get the, like, "Oh" moment.
Well,
Um,
they
like,
certainly had a taste for, like, absolute minimalism. You know, that you look at all the Greek and Roman, it's very flamboyant, whether Minoan, Mycenaean, it's all flamboyant, super colorful, it's got a lot going on. But old ancient Egypt is just so simple and
so good.
clean cut. They're like the ultra modern-ish people in the ancient world. Everything is just so sleek and razor sharp and hyper simple. Whether that's the pyramids themselves, the temples sitting outside of them, uh, the Osirion, or even look at the Old Kingdom. You know, those vases. So much of their, like, faience work and everything, just made out of incredibly hard stone and super simple, and
Mhm.
I sleek is the right word, sleek and elegant, but just fascinating.
This is a good little side for the Valley Temple. So this is the entrance to the Valley Temple that you can go
Mhm,
into today. So it's the inside that looks like the Assyrian. But just to show, like, the size of the inner blocks of the Valley Temple, insane how huge they were. Like,
Yeah.
and then you've got the granite casing, and like when have you seen this stuff like
And
up
that
close with your
that
eyeballs?
casing came all the way up and over the whole structure.
Yeah. So basically, you've got like a cake, and then the granite is the icing, and you've iced the
Mhm.
whole cake. But you'd think that if you were making them at the same time, if you're making the cake and the icing of the cake at the same time, that the cake and the icing would be pretty um you'd make them to match, right? Because it's like a Lego piece. You'd be like, this is the casing and this is the thing, and they're gonna go together like that. But the casing, it's like they fit to these old basically what I'm saying is that the inner cake was already hella weathered.
Mhm.
It wasn't smooth, and it would be a way quicker job to just have them smooth. But they were casing what I think is like older rock. And I think that the
Uh-oh.
sorry, I stopped there.
Oh, no, I can hear
I
you now. I
think
can hear you now. Keep going.
I think the Valley Temple was iced, um, like as a restoration, as a like a fourth, fifth dynasty restoration of an earlier.
Certainly seem it really does certainly seem that way. I
It
mean,
I don't
those
yeah.
stones and correct me if I'm wrong, but, the sometimes the back of those granite stones, whereas the outside I think most of it is finished on the Valley Temple, but the
Yeah.
inside is made to complement the erosion of the softer stones beneath or the softer stones on the inside, right? Like, they cut
Mhm.
away the granite so that it can be pressed up against the old blocks. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, but here's my thinking. Like, why would you not just logistically, if I'm in charge of this, why would you not, if it's freshly cut limestone, it would be flat. Or if it's old limestone that you were like redoing, there was a reason why they didn't cut it flat. Either
Mm.
because they were like, dude, this place is old. We do not touch the old relics. We're just going to like
Yeah,
protect them
yeah,
and cover
yep.
them. But like well, otherwise you just send in your cutters. If they could cut stone like, you know, willy-nilly piece of piss, like
Mhm.
why would you not finish that surface and put two flat surfaces back together? Why would you spend so much time? So either somebody was there and they were measuring and they were going like, right, it comes in here 4 inches and it goes in there 1 inch or whatever.
Yep.
um I do look at this and I go, I do wonder whether they could soften the stone and just like, or concrete, or they could concrete pour. I do
Mm.
wonder it when I look at it, and I'm like, I know that there's a really good argument for not concreting the granite, or but a way to soften it and set it. Either they softened and set it, or they poured it and could smooth down the outside. Um, it's really hard with your brain's trying to work it out when you're there in person and you're looking at it, because it's
Yeah,
you'd be there for years trying to make the inner side, and the point is you'd never see it.
yeah,
All that work on the inside, chiseling away inch by inch, all the like the little erosion bits, the discrepancies in the erosion, and nobody would ever see it. It's like art that you'd never see. So and it would just take forever. So I think it was repaired, and I think that there was a massive Giza plateau restoration program that went on in the fourth dynasty, fifth dynasty, and they were repairing all of the old stuff, and they were casing everything, whether they cased the pyramids, whether they cased everything. They were clearly very good at it, and they did it quick.
yeah.
um
I like the idea that this is, that the core of that temple is an even older structure, and they go in and maybe renovate the inside of it, rebuild the inside of it, which we know Egyptians always did, but they encase the outer structure, almost like,
yeah.
revering this ancient monument.
Yeah,
You know,
the
that's
the
amazing.
the the inner stones are just, they're so huge. And again, if you're not gonna see them at all from a design perspective, why make them so big? It would be so much easier to transport half the size of these blocks, and you could make the same wall, because the wall has to be yay high and yay high. It's a wall. A wall's a wall. You could make it out of a much easier combination of of bricks. They chose, for some reason, the mega big bricks, and then they chose to cover them. So what's the point?
Yep. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
like I think that the inner ones were meant to be seen originally, and then they found them and they were like, whoa, we need to protect and preserve it, or we want to restore it. But they were like, but we can't touch it. We can't come in and send Bill in to like hacksaw it flat, because do you know what I mean? Like I think they had like a big reverend. I wouldn't want to
I
touch
can't
an
wait
old.
for people on tour to actually see how big these stones are. You're not even as tall as these stones. Like not you or me, but I just mean in general, most people are not
Nobody
even
is.
as tall as these stones right here.
Yeah, it's insane. So that's my thing with the so I think that there's a when people say the Osirion is similar to the Valley Temple, and I'm like, well, there's a really good argument that the Sphinx and the Valley Temple core, the main inside of the core, the cake is older and then redone, because
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see this stuff again. I'm getting excited.
I know it's gonna be awesome. We have such a great crew going. I got a bunch of my friends going. My dad's coming. History with Kaylee is joining us. It's
Yes.
gonna be a great tour.
We've got and we've got a little pre-tour WhatsApp group. So every tour we're gonna do, a few months before, we all get to like meet each other and become
Mhm.
friends, and we talk quite regularly in the WhatsApp group. Um, yeah, it's gonna be really fun. Really
Yeah, it's
excited.
gonna be amazing here. Okay, so we got a soup here. I'll let you take this one.
Love the education I receive. Thank you, Darth Renegade. Um,
Well, this is Raiders University, right?
oh yeah, 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 guys. If you don't know, we have merch. Raiders merch. You can
I
find it on
need
Luke's
a
site or mine.
Yeah, I need to make a
Um,
thing I can like a banner I can flash up on the screen. Maybe I'll do
Yeah,
it for next show.
we got some really cool bits for Raiders University, if you wanna enroll at our university.
Mhm.
Open to anybody. There's no entrance exam. You just gotta buy a
Yep.
hat.
No minimum GPA requirements.
Um, yeah, yeah, really cool.
So, Jana, what do you have coming up in the future? What are you working on?
Um, I had a really cool meeting today. Potentially, I mean, we have quite a few of these meetings with production companies, but the difference of this one, because for years I've been trying to pitch like ancient history shows or stuff, but basically I'm too the feedback that always comes back is that I'm not professional enough to front a history show. Um, or I don't have enough qualifications to front a history
Mm,
show. But I found there's a production company that do digital commissioning, so they basically don't have like the strings that are attached to generic TV stuff. So they seem really enthusiastic, and they want to sort of help collaborate on potentially like some history content. So yeah,
I think that'd be great. I
that's
think you
cool.
do amazing.
So yeah, so that's something that's just sort of coming up. And then yeah, just trying to do I'm like committing to doing a YouTube a month. I'm getting back into it slowly after having a baby. I'll be able to do a lot more after we go to Egypt, because my baby's going to be in daycare. So I'll have
Oh,
time. So
wow.
I know.
I
But
know. I bet
until then I have to do both jobs, and 24-hour parenting and YouTubing is really hard.
what's your next YouTube video, if you want to say it, or what's something you got on the horizon you'd like
Oh,
to on for
so
YouTube?
there's two. I'm choosing between which one to do first, but I've been researching the Kara caves in Russia, and kind of like
Oh,
fact checking and just looking into, because there's some funny stuff going on, but especially because there's like Neolithic swastika symbols, and then also 1940s Nazi symbols. The Nazis were very interested in the area of the Kara caves in Russia. Um, so I wanted to do like an explaining video for that. The other What was the other one that I was gonna veer? I had that one lined up, and then I was like, oh no, wait. Oh, the other one was I have some scans. Um so you know the Giza plateau is always being scanned now, but the
mhm.
Italian team, Filippo Biondi, they scanned initially, they scanned like the main pyramids, but they also scanned the whole plateau, and basically right out where the other end of the kind of in front of the Sphinx temple, actually, to the side, there's a whole kind of like descending passage, and I've got some images of it, and I wanted to like um show that and say that
Oh, very cool.
they think there's some sort of like descending and connecting that then connects to all of the rat run that's under, but it starts way at the other end of the what's the word I'm looking for? The big
Causeway?
road, the causeway, the big
Yeah.
road. There. So it's down to this causeway, I think in front of the or to the side of the Valley Temple, Sphinx Temple. There is like stuff going on underground, which would align with the story that I remember I was told on an Egypt tour, that they, when they were drilling down in front of the Valley Temple, Sphinx Temple, they were doing some core drills for like finding like water, table water measurements, and they hit 15 meters down or 16 meters down, not feet, meters. They hit granite, and they didn't know how
That's
to
right,
account,
that's
they didn't
right,
know how to
yeah.
account for granite being 16 meters underground at the beginning. And the one of the ways that they kind of said, well, it's most probably a granite block that was being um transported down the Nile, because the Nile at the time used to be up there, that it was most likely a granite block that had fallen into the river at the time and like sunk to the
Fascinating.
bottom and somehow sunk even lower over
That's
time
right,
to,
that's right.
to -50, because I don't think the bottom of the, anyway, but that was the official stance on why there is chunks of granite coming up in the core drills. But it'd be interesting to look at where that core drill is and then look at like Philip um Biondi's Filippo Biondi's scan and see whether or not any of those connecting tunnels match where the, I've just thought about doing that. That'll be on my list to do.
Fascinating. Yeah, yeah, you should do that, and I'm
Yeah.
very, excited to hear about these Russian caves. That's pretty cool. I
Yeah,
This
they're
is something I don't know anything about.
the Karahora Russian caves. They're very weird. There's something weird and spooky. Like there's a lot of, again, I love it, anything with like a local lore, and they
Mhm.
call it the place where the place where the earth hums or something. There's like a sound that comes out of the caves that locals have said it's cursed and all that stuff. And it's that sounds are coming out from underground from this cave system. And there's an whether they're man-made or natural. And I'm kind of exploring both sides of that argument.
Hey, that's a
So let me
pretty
help.
cool little niche idea. If you were to go around the world and, like, track these weird places that no one's ever heard of, and then go get the local lore and tell both of those about the place, that's a
Mm,
really cool, like, video series idea. That's the kind of show I would like to watch. I'd like to watch you host. The shit
yeah.
like that would be really cool.
The show idea, I don't know if I was gonna say actually.
Yeah, yeah,
I
don't
was
don't
gonna
say it.
say.
Just tell
I
me off.
was gonna say. I kind of forgot that we were live to thousands of people. But the show idea is really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I hope to watch it.
and what are you doing, Luke, apart from going on your little honeymoon? Lovely, lovely.
Yeah, so Lauren and I are going to Hawaii tonight, and we're gonna be there for a couple weeks and film. I'm gonna work on some videos while I'm there. One of the videos that I'm working on is the first explorers of Hawaii. So I'm doing
Nice.
Captain Cook when he landed on the Southwest beach in Kauai and the stuff that he saw, tribes he ran into. And then I'm doing another one. I don't know what I'm gonna call it exactly. It's gonna be like something like searching for the rarest species in Hawaii, or searching for the rarest species in the Pacific. But it's basically just going to be like a I've become very interested lately. It was kind of this explorer series that put me onto this,
Mhm,
uh, in following not cryptids, but animals that were, they aren't extinct, but they're extirpated, if that makes sense. Extirpated means they were driven out of an area. So I did this video on here where I live, like in the foothills of Appalachia in the Carolinas. We used to have jaguars all the way out here, and that's not commonly known. But I traced the historical record and like basically made a very good argument, almost proved that jaguars were here. But I found that there's not that many other concepts like that on YouTube that, we had like Great Plains, gray, like buffalo wolves, and we had wolves in Texas, and
mm,
gray wolves in New Mexico, gray wolves out in Appalachia. And so I'm working on this series called American Wilds, and it's kind of covering a lot of like the weird history of the Americas. But one of the things I'm really going to focus on is tracking animals that you wouldn't realize lived in certain areas of the Americas that were driven out, and following what that extinction, event in that
Mm.
region actually looked like. So when the explorers arrived in Hawaii, there were like 169 bird species there, and today there's only some 60 odd bird species. So 100 species of birds went extinct just on the island of Kauai. And
Mm.
across the Pacific, the monk seal is almost extinct. There's like 400 of them left, and they all basically live on the coast of Hawaii, or I think of all the islands, but Kauai specifically. And you can see them like every morning. So I'm going to do sort of like a historical breakdown, and following the word for word accounts of what happened to these species and stuff. So yeah,
Mm.
been working on that lately, and really enjoying doing that. And then at the end of the month, I've got a project. I already announced it, but are you familiar with Colossal Biosciences? You ever heard of this company bringing? They're doing stuff like they've got 6 extinct species that they're trying to effectively bring back, if that makes sense. Or I'm sorry, functionally de-extinct. So they just brought the dire wolf back. If you remember this,
Oh
these three.
yes, no, I know that. Yeah, for a minute I thought you were gonna say dinosaurs. I was like, wait, I've seen this movie. Like, let's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
do
Well,
that.
yeah, exactly. They effectively like sequenced the genome of a dire wolf and made a hybrid gray wolf that has the properties of a dire wolf. So it behaves and looks like a dire wolf as far as we know. It's not actually a dire wolf, but effectively it is de-extinct, if that makes sense.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so and de-extinction is like on the infancy, right? In 100 years, we might actually be able to bring back the literal species, but right now they're just like hybrids of these species. But anyways,
Yeah.
I'm working on a video series with them covering the history of their main extinct species. So yeah, that's pretty much
I'd
what I'm
like
doing.
to bring back the dodo.
That's one of their species.
I'd like to bring back the dodo because it just looks
Uh,
kind of fun and hawky.
I love the dodo.
Big
This
fat bird.
fat flightless bird. The
Yeah, it's
uh
like,
the first accounts of them were that the dodos had absolutely no sense. They had no fear whatsoever. That you could walk up to them and hit them with a stick, and they would like
oh, yes.
slowly turn around and look at you. They had no fear of humans,
Yeah, because
and
why would they? They didn't know you weren't their predator, or like, they'd just be like, "A friend," and then they realize
yeah,
pretty quickly, we're all awful to
yep,
animals.
that's right. Yeah, they were discovered in like 1598, and by 1690 they were, or 1670 they're all gone.
Yeah.
It's wild, isn't it?
Alright, well, thank you so much for your time. Go have an amazing holiday,
I will. I will. I will send
vacation.
lots of photos.
Yes, yes. And,
So,
yeah, I need to go to bed because my night shift's about to begin.
oh yeah, yeah. I forgot we're pushing it. All right. Hey, I will send you some photos when we land tomorrow.
Yeah, make me jealous.
So,
Okay.
all right. Well, thank
Alright,
you for your time, Miss Johanna, and Mrs. Johanna, and I will see
Mrs.
you very
Johanna.
soon.
Okay.
See you guys.
Bye.